Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new episode of JoJo no Kimyou no Bouken, Ougon no Kaze on episode 4, or you could call it JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, Golden Wind. So, this episode right here was actually nice, although I am upset about one thing, but I don't think it might affect the entirety of the show, but we'll have to see. But if anything else, let's just get this started. We had to that Giorno Giovanna ends up taking on this stand user, which is causing him some major trouble. Although eventually Giorno will find out its weakness that it can only move in shadow, where sunlight is not bathing at certain areas. If it goes into the sunlight, it will only cause some damage to it, and it might dissipate or disperse in other cases. Koichi was involved with this thing and apparently ends up having a little conversation of an argument with him here and there, and apparently it almost got Koichi killed, but Giorno saved his life, and they actually struggled really hard against this shadow stand, because anytime if you're in the area of where shadow is at, it will have very strong strength, and it has a big advantage over there. Pretty much anywhere that has a shadow, it has a giant advantage. That much I can tell you. And of course, eventually Giorno and Koichi end up having a little truce for now, and ends up having a little small talk, despite what Giorno did, And of course, eventually, as time goes on, when fighting this shadow stand user, which is remote control that Koichi remembers, they managed to defeat it thanks to Koichi's cooperation and Giorno's ability to make a tree wither due to giving life and then make it dissipate in the air. One of the things that I enjoyed a little bit about this fight is useless, or muda. I mean, I remember in part 3 that Dio says that, and Giorno picked up that line from Dio. I guess it's like father-son kind of thing. Pretty cool. Eventually, Koichi was going to tell Jotaro through phone, but Giorno tells him not to keep this a secret, because I'm going to tell you right now, if there are other people, like you said, with this arrow whatsoever and creating stand users, you're not going to be taken lightly, and they're going to go after you full force. This is an organization that we're taking on. This is not just some single person whatsoever. It's a literal organization. And we had to it that Giorno decides to tell Koichi about everything, and he'll only tell it to him only. Eventually, the next day comes about, and we see to it that Giorno passes the test and ends up having to get a badge where he is accepted into the organization. But eventually, Giorno decides to do something and ends up having a small talk with Purple. He ends up saying, when it comes to, I'll tell you this, when we fight over turf, money, or power, it sounds stupid, but I will fight and kill anyone who insults me or our trust or something, That much I'm going to tell you. I mean, he ends up saying something about some kind of religious phase or something that God would forgive him for murder, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, even though you may have murdered someone, doesn't mean it's justified. Depending on the situation, I don't know, but aside from that, Giorno ends up doing something in one of Popo's foods or something, or somewhere in the fridge, as what I thought. But eventually, we have to it that Koichi ends up remembering and talks to Jotaro over the phone, and Koichi's like, I think you might be overthinking that Giorno Giovanna might be very dangerous. The way I look at him, I will tell you in person, etc. And Koichi thinks in his mind, thinking that Giorno Giovanna is a good person. After he heard everything and talked to Giorno about this, even after Giorno stole his stuff and sold it, I mean, it's not much of a big deal, and I see to it that Koichi decides to let it go, etc., and decides to go do some sightseeing before talking to Jotaro in person eventually. And then we get to a scene switch with Bucci and Giorno talking to each other, and freaking whatchamacallit, Giorno showing his Passione badge, and he passed the test, obviously. And eventually, of course, Bucci goes follow me, I'll show you what my team is. And of course, we get a scene with Popo trying to eat a banana, hearing some kind of click, but all of a sudden that banana turned into a gun. Giorno, on the other hand, took a lesson from Popo, like, you know, you insulted that old man you killed without having remorse, you know? So, you better savor your last meal while you can. And later on, that banana turns into a gun, and Purple got shot in the throat, through the throat, and through the esophagus, and then, like, bang, through the head, and he's dead. Falls down dead. And of course, like, Giorno actually changed one of his guns into a banana and made Popo kill himself the moment he put the banana in his mouth, turns into a gun, and kaboom. And Popo falls down dead, and Giorno's like, what's your team like? He goes like, yeah, they're a bunch of stand users. And I just saw all of them right there. I'm like, oh my gosh, my jaw just dropped right away. Yeah, one thing I will say that kind of upset me a little bit is like Popo, you know? He was introduced maybe two episodes and he gets killed off or something. I just go like, well, that kind of sucks because I thought this guy might have a bigger role to play aside from like giving a test to Giorno Giovanna. But Purple, or Popo, however you want to pronounce his name, was going to use Giorno and maybe dispose of him in a certain way that he wouldn't even care, you know? So it looks like to me, I guess, Purple had it coming to him, and he's also the guy who's the shadow stand user, not to mention with the Yaka arrow or that bow and arrow that Koichi mentioned, you know? Forgot to mention that when Giorno had a conversation with Koichi about it, yada yada yada. But it is what it is. Aside from that, yeah, that's the only thing I was upset about. Purple just got introduced maybe 1 to 2 episodes or so, and gets killed off or something. Nah, make it 2 episodes. Sorry, he got introduced 1 episode, then the second, and then he gets killed off. But, you know, I guess like him, I don't think it's much of a big deal. Possibly, I thought he might have a bigger role to play. I might do some twisted things, but whatever. It is what it is. Aside from that, thought the episode's pretty cool. Looking forward to the next one as always, and we get to see Butchie's stand team, which is going to be interesting. A lot of my friends have been telling me that one of these characters are literally the best, and you're going to have a blast about it. I'm glad I'm in anime only, and hopefully things will get really interesting. I mean, like, I'm climbing up in the ranks and then trying to, like, achieve a certain dream that Giorno's trying to do, that Koichi actually finds fond of, and he's actually passing on that kind of good legacy. But we'll have to see. Sometimes certain MCs or certain characters tend to change throughout the series, and we'll see if Giorno Giovanna continues that kind of dream. Yeah, so until then, I will see you guys in my next video or so. I'm Alpha Zero, people. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot toot.